Hello, everyone. This is Naveen Samuel. Welcome to podcast number 14. And this is the podcast series Front Office Success. I am your host, Naveen Samuel, and this is my honor and privilege to have Dr. David Moffet. Dr. David Moffet. Did I say that right?
That's correct. Yeah, David Moffet, that's me.
All right. All the way from Sydney, Australia. I just found out that he's retired. All this time I thought he was still practicing, but you are officially retired. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, it's. I had my own practice for 28 years. I sold it in 2007 and worked on for 7 years, and then finished up in 2014. Had some shoulder surgery in 2015. I just do half a day a week now at a friend's office, seeing a few people. But mainly I spend my time, writing, coaching, consulting, and speaking.
Yeah, great. Well, I want to just tell you that I've been following you for a while, and it's I know it's hard for us with being in totally opposite sides of the world to try to connect. But I'm glad you emailed me and got a hold of us, and I guess we can have this interview now. So I'm very excited to finally be able to interview you.
Oh no, well, it's my pleasure, and the thing about the west coast of the US, I like to think that you're just 7 hours ahead, but you're a day behind. So I don't like to talk in those big numbers and going around the world the other way. And so this time of day, it's just gone 11 o'clock in the morning my time, and just gone 6 o'clock in the evening your time. And when you go to winter and we go to summer, that shortens to 5 hours. It's almost like we're on the same day.
Oh, yeah.
There's just a day difference. So
Right.
The East Coast is the hardest for me to work with. But even more difficult is me working with clients in the UK, because that's 9, 10, and 11 hours behind. So mornings become nights.
Yeah.
But we do what we got to do. The good thing about Australia is that we've got lots of spiders and snakes, and so not many people come down here and find out how wonderful it is.
Well, we talked briefly before I got started with the interview, but I have here that you lecture all around the world. You train other dentists. Do you like to work with dentists particularly, or dental teams? Do you like to work with the whole team?
It just depends, Naveen. I've got some dentist clients that are really difficult to work with, and some that are really pleasant to work with. And I've got some teams where I've got some really inspired teams who I enjoy working with. But other times I've got team members, that can be a bit of a stick in the mud and don't want to change and don't want to improve, because they feel that they're doing a good enough job, and being coached is a little bit of an insult to them. So it just depends on the personalities and the dynamics of the team. So I know that when I present to a meeting that is purely only dentists, I get a lot of inspiration there, because sometimes when a dentist brings his team, some of the team don't want to be there, and so they can actually be a little bit of a wet blanket effect in the meeting. So different days for different people, but I've got some good friends who are office managers across the US, and some of them want their dentist to hire me, but their dentist won't hire me. So it's a crazy little world.
Yeah. So you do a little bit of consulting as well as doing the seminars and the speaking, and that would you say consulting is your main service that you provide for dentists?
Yeah, primarily, and I can do that just as we're doing this, via Skype and via telephone. In fact, this morning I've been on the phone to a client in Minneapolis. I've also been talking to a dentist in San Antonio who's been looking to hire me. So it's easy. The wonders of technology. It looks to me like you're just in the next room. We've got a crystal clear recording here. The image I've got of you is very clear. And that's how easy technology is these days.
Right. Yeah. No, I love technology. I kind of wish we still had. Blab was one of the formats I was using for a while, and that was a very easy format to use. We're using Zoom right now, and Blab was one of those formats you can have 4 people all in one time. It's like a little mini Google Hangout.
Okay.
But talking, I mean, the internet makes people a lot closer now than they ever used to be before.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. And you can get to know people. I do a lot of my coaching where I never get into the office. because I just use, it's just virtual.
Sure.
The principles of good service are simple, and they're not unique. They just have to be applied, and anybody can apply them and learn the lesson, via video, via telephone. It's quite simple.
Yeah. Well, before you became an international consultant and international speaker, I'm sure there was a journey, a story that started off, back before you wanted to be a dentist. Can you tell us a little bit about your background as to like where you grew up and what made you decide to become a dentist?
Well, it's funny. I grew up in Western Sydney, which is working class because Sydney's on the east coast of Australia, and my parents were both workers. My father was in the Air Force, and then he was in sales. My mother was a registered nurse, went back to school and became a school teacher. Went to university, became a school teacher. I was the eldest of three, and I was educated in public schools, but I was good at school, and so my mother said, well, you should do something like become a doctor or a dentist, and really what I wanted to do was become a radio announcer. I really liked the idea of playing music and talking to microphones, but they said, no, you're too smart to do that, so please concentrate on medicine. So I wanted to be a doctor, didn't get the grades, and so my mother said, well, why did you bother putting dentistry down if that wasn't something that you wanted to do? So I went to dental school. I decided to do that, and after 2 years I got good enough grades to transfer to medicine, but I was keen to just get out. All the people that I went to school with were already working in trades, and I was broke and studying, and I'd had enough of study, and so my final 2 years of dental school, I was working 5 nights a week in a registered club, serving drinks and working on the tray, delivering drinks, and I was keen to just get out and do some business. I learned a lot about business from that job and from another job that I had while I was at school, and those principles of service served me well. I worked in private practice exclusively. I worked in one practice for my first year out, and then another practice for the next 3. And I learned a lot from those people. And then I bought my own practice after being out for 4 years. And it was that practice that I bought in 1987 that I sold in 2007, and then continued on working for the new owners till 2014. And as I told you, I had to have shoulder surgery because of some osteoarthritis. Yeah. And the recovery from that is quite debilitating. I couldn't drive a car for 4 months, and that shoulder is fine in limited movement, but it's difficult to use now. And at that point in time, having sold and saved well, I decided that I would retire from wet-fingered dentistry. I still see some patients 1 day a week just at a friend's place, but really that's just hobby now. Sure. And I enjoyed the transition through meeting some of the great coaches in America. Linda Miles, the Maddow brothers, Howard Ferran. They encouraged me to share my story and give back to the profession. So that's what I'm doing now on a global basis. As you said, I lecture all over the world. 2 weeks ago, I was in London lecturing to dentists from 7 different countries, and I lectured in New York earlier this year, as well as Sydney and Melbourne this year. And last year, I lectured all around Australia, 5 cities in Australia, plus Las Vegas as well, and Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia as well. So yeah, significant. So I enjoy the travel. I enjoy interacting with people. It's nice to meet people who want to improve themselves, and that's really what I like doing now.
Great. I mean, no, I think you're probably one of the most successful dentists as far as how soon you've launched to where you've gotten so far right now, because there's a lot of people that want to get into consulting, and it takes them probably years, if not decades, to get to you. I think your story really resonated with a lot of people. So I wanted to touch on that again. I mean, your story of when you first started in your practice, I think you were struggling a little bit, and then something happened, and then you just, something happened and then you changed into a very successful practice. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I bought my practice in 1987 from a dentist who I thought was retiring, but what I found was that he sold me the practice, but then he went to work at a dental office 10 miles away, right next door to his home. And so a lot of the patients who were friends of his just started to see him over there. And so what I really bought was dental rooms and not too many patients. So I had to build that up, and I built it up quite well. And in those days, you know, the practice, when I bought it, I think it was turning over $140,000 a year, which was average then. And I got it up to $400,000 in the space of about 5 years, and then it just plateaued.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know, that's as good as I can do, until I decided, you know, maybe if I got a consultant in to help me, I could maybe work on a few systems. And so the first consultant I hired was a dentist who I knew, who had a very successful practice in another part of Sydney, a way away, and he came in to help me. But what I found after working with him for 6 months was that although he was working with me as a consultant, he was working just around the corner from me as a dentist one day a week and consulting there as well. And so I felt he had a conflict of interest. So I had to terminate that arrangement, and that was a difficult time for me. I knew that I needed a consultant, but this guy just wasn't the right person for me. Fortunately, I hired a very good firm, and in the next 6.5 years, I tripled my turnover from 400,000 to 1.2 million.
Wow!
So that was very fortunate, because the systems that these people helped me with and the philosophy that they helped me implement in my practice really did help me grow the practice. But it wasn't without difficulty, Naveen, because there was a point there in 1996 where I came home to my wife and I said, we have to sell our home, because we needed the money. We needed some equity from our home to inject back into the business. Otherwise, we were going to lose both. And that's difficult. You know, my wife, we had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and we had to go rent for 5 years. So during that time that we were building up the practice again, we were actually renting and using cash flow to help inject and grow the business. And we did. You know, we grew it from a 1 dentist, 2-chair operation to a 2.5 dentists plus a couple of specialists and 3 hygienists practice. And it was through that implementation, but things weren't. It wasn't just straight sailing, which was difficult to go through. And I think, you know, a lot of successful people. You know, Walt Disney he went bankrupt twice, I think, and I think Donald Trump's had to close down a couple of companies too. So, sometimes people do stretch it, and but you know, I was lucky that I got good advice, and with that advice, I was able to, you know, do what I needed to grow my business, and that I did.
Yeah. Thank you for being so frank and honest with us. A lot of times people only see the tip of the iceberg. They see the success on the top, but they don't see what's underneath the success. To get to that is a lot of hard work and sacrifice. And you know what you're saying about having to you guys were looking into doing an equity line, right? Is that what you said?
It was sold. We sold the house. So
house, okay, to inject money to save your business. So.
Yes, yeah. We owned some of the house, but we had a mortgage, and so we sold the house and used the cash that was left over and put that back into the business.
Yeah.
And rented for 5 years.
Yeah.
While we grew the business, and then through that, then we were able to buy another home, which is the home I'm sitting in now.
Yeah, great. And I see those jerseys in the back. So are those rugby jerseys?
This one here, this is my wife got me this for my 40th birthday. This is my rugby league team, the Penrith Panthers, and they're just in the semi-finals now this year after a couple of years out, and we're quite excited. They've won 5 in a row to get to where they are, and they're a young team, so that's good. This one here, which you might be more familiar with, this is actually a signed a cricket jersey from the Channel 9 television commentary team. So on here, I've got autographs, I think, from Richie Beno, Tony Gregg, and Bill Laurie have signed that jersey. I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 Penrith jerseys hanging in my room, and someone said, this is my study, and somebody said, why have you got 7? I said, well, because I haven't got room to hang the other 3 that I own. And so, I like to surround myself with a bit of memorabilia. I've got a Ringo Starr drumsticks and an Abbey Road record cover over here, as well as what else is here that's memorable that you might be interested in? A map of St Andrews Golf Club over there, and of course, my favourite US rock and roll band, Kiss. A little bit of memorabilia from them as well. So I like to surround myself and a ton of books. If this
Tell me about a book that you like to read. I mean, a good book, a good read for, let's say, a dentist coming on the first 2 years in practice.
Well, I think the best books that I like are really non-dental, and I apply them back to dental. So one of the best books that I've read recently is Gary Vaynerchuk. His first book, Crush It, where he talks about how he grew his father's wine business. And he's a guy who had to describe wine, but he wasn't legally allowed to drink wine. and so he's mellowed a little now. Have you ever seen him speak?
Oh, I follow Gary Vaynerchuk quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah, he's very colourful, and so that's a good book. But I think you've got to go back to the basic principles of business and selling. You go back to Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Some of my early mentors in the 90s who had sadly passed away, Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn as well. On me, I saw Tom Hopkins and saw his systematic approach to selling real estate, and it's taking things from other industries and bringing them into dentistry, which helped me grow my business. So that period from 96 onwards, I was always looking at other successful, saying, what are these businesses doing and how can I use that in my business? And it's sad because sometimes I get too analytical about the business, but I really do enjoy the process of being a customer. And that's I think what helped me grow my practice was that I was able to take my patients and turn them into customers so that they were actually experiencing something as opposed to just getting a filling or having dentistry done. And so their visit to my office was more about the experience than the physical restorations inside their mouth. And so they would arrive early, be greeted by the staff, and then they would leave way after they'd been finished being treated because it was all part of the process.
Yep.
And I think a lot of dentists get too tied up in what goes on inside the mouth, and they forget about all the other things which really need to pamper to build up that experience and take it away from just about having a shot, having a drill, close up, out you go.
Right. Yeah, and that's the reason why when you were saying the patient experience, the customer experience, that's the reason why Starbucks can charge $5 to $6 for a coffee that you can get for $1 anywhere else. Because people go to Starbucks for the experience. They're not really going there to buy expensive coffee.
No, exactly right. And people will happily pay for an experience because if it wasn't about the experience, we'd all be riding bicycles and we'd all be eating hamburgers. But people will go to a fine dining restaurant. In fact, good fine dining restaurants don't worry if McDonald's open up beside them. It's because they provide and experience. And sometimes it's not even about the food. It's about the relationship you have with the people who work there, how you're treated, how you're greeted, how you farewelled, and the ambience of the place. And that's what we need to try and create in our dental office. Not that every dentist should try and be, you know, a Ritz-Carlton structure, but they should at least try for Ritz-Carlton style service and deliver that to their patients. And when you do that, guess what? You build a good base of loyal patients who are happy to have treatment, to have the treatment that you recommend, to have it done when you tell them, and to actually bring their appointments forward if something becomes available sooner, and refer their friends. And you know, that's the success of a real good dental practice.
Yeah, no, you hit a lot of important points there, but I know we have a very short period of time. We're getting close to our 30-minute mark here, but I wanted to just talk briefly about your blog that you have, the Ultimate Patient Experience. Is that the name of the blog?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I did some reading on it, and I wanted to ask a few questions about some of the blog articles you have on there. Not to give away what's written, because I do want my audience to be able to go on your blog and read the whole article. But you talked about common response that a dental staff member uses to drive away a patient. Can you just tell us about one common response?
Well, that drives away patients. Now you're making me dig deep here, because I've written 400 blogs in.
Well, you could just throw one off the top of your head.
Well, I think certainly. I think certainly, you know, the thing that attracts patients, as opposed to driving them away, is talking about the patient's favourite subject. And what is that? It's talking about the patient. So, you know, if there's one thing that annoys me in a dental practice, is hearing staff talk about three things. Fluff. There's three items of fluff. You know, the first one is talking about the weather. You know, we can't change the weather. And so, you know, people saying, I can't believe how hot it is. I can't believe how much rain we've had. You know, just deal with it. You know, get into some air conditioning, drink a cool drink, carry an umbrella, and get on with business. You know, we don't wake up and look out and say, oh, it's raining, and pull our head under the covers. We've got to get on with life. You know, you guys, or you don't in California, but on the East Coast, they get snow. You know, we don't get any. You've got weather very much like Sydney over there. You might get a little bit colder winters.
Cold, yeah, in the winter. Yeah, I'm in Northern California, so we did get a little bit of snow in the mountain areas. But
yeah.
I know what you're. I know.
So that's the first bit of fluff. The second bit of fluff is time. You know, I'm a scientist. You're a scientist, and as far as I know, the Earth moves around the sun at the same speed. It doesn't go fast, then stop, and then go fast and slow. It's the same. So when somebody says, I can't believe it's Easter already, I can't believe it's Christmas already, they're wrong. An hour, a week, a month is the same no matter when it happens. And so it's just fluff. And when you hear two people talking like that, it becomes almost ridiculous. And the third thing is the staff member that talks about themselves instead of the patient, and particularly the staff member who's about to get married. Everybody ducks for cover in that sort of situation. Oh, no, she's talking about the wedding again. You know, nobody wants to hear that. The best thing to say to people, even when somebody says to me, you know, people say to me, how are you? I say, I'm good. How are you? I always just flick everything back all the time. So the way to attract people, as opposed to repel them, is to talk about them and be interested in them. And as long as you're interested in them, guess what they think? They think you're interesting. And so if we can train our staff to talk about the patients and learn about the patients and reflect back with the patients on something else that somebody else has told them or that they mentioned in a previous visit, then those patients will think, you know, these people are interested in me on more than just my teeth and my credit card. And that's how you build the relationship.
Sure. No, thank you for that. I mean, that was exactly pretty much what I read on the article. But I mean, you hit all the points right there. I wanted to talk one last question about the onboard terrorist. So what is an onboard? Like, who is an onboard terrorist? How do you recognize somebody like that?
Oh, they're scary, and I've had one or two in my time. Um, usually they're office people, so they're not really clinical team members, but sometimes they can be. And what they do is that they come on with they make all the right noises and sounds to you, but behind the scenes they're terrorizing your business and being destructive to your business. So they will tell you all the wonderful things that you're doing and that they're doing, but behind the scenes they're rude to your customers, they're rude to your other team members, and they demoralize the rest of the team, and they demoralize you. And it's the joy that you have when you create better employment opportunities for them by allowing them to go and work elsewhere, or letting them go. The rest of the team lifts in that sort of situation, and sometimes these are people who do this to maintain a status quo in your business and exert some control, but sometimes they're people who just have self-limiting beliefs which just go into automatic, and that's not good for your business either, and sometimes they can't even control it. But you've got to be able to identify those people, because they like to protect their patch of turf, and that means making not having to work too hard, and removing any challenges from other employees that might upset the position that they have become familiar with or tried to create for themselves. So again, the biggest difficulty, Naveen, is that as dentists, guess what we want to do? Just drill teeth all day and let everything behind us hopefully sort itself out. That's an ideal environment for lazy people to come and work for us, and especially onboard terrorists. So sometimes we need that second pair of eyes, either that coach, that consultant, that wife in the business. Worse if the wife is the onboard terrorist as well, though. But we can't do it. In traditional retail restaurants, the owner is often walking the floor, talking to the customers and schmoozing. But in dentistry, we're the mechanic. We're like the car mechanic. We're underneath the car. We got no idea what's going on in our business. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, we need the help.
Yeah. So we're running short on time here, but before we end, I wanted to see if you can show me your book again. It's How to Build the Dental Practice of Your Dreams Without Killing Yourself in Less Than 60 Days. And where do you get this book?
Well, you can get this book from two places. You can either buy it from Amazon, and it's easy to find there. It's a #1 bestseller in its category. Or you can buy it. I've got a distribution agency as well. Anyone in North America can get it by going to buildingyourdreampractice.com. And if you've got listeners or viewers in other parts of the world outside of North America, they will get a surprise, because their copy of the book will be personally signed by me. So we distribute them from down under to most parts of Europe and Africa and the subcontinent, and Australia and New Zealand as well. I'm not sure if I've sent any to South America yet, but certainly I've sent them to Scandinavia, the UK, all over the place. But thank you for mentioning that. And this book, which is mainly autobiographical, really, it's just a story about me and what I did in my practice. And there are plenty of tips. Some of the chapters in there are chock full of tips. Others, not so many. But if you go through and mark them, I think one chapter there I marked 98 tips in it. So it's been a surprise for me that it's been so successful. And for $21 US plus postage, it's a bargain. You'll get that back in the first page.
Thank you for sharing the book, and I'll look forward to ordering it on Amazon myself too. And what I can also do is post a link on my Facebook group for your book, as well as your website. And can you tell us the website again?
Yeah, my website is www, obviously, theultimatepatientexperience.com, all one big long word, all lowercase. And my blog is www. You can get to my blog through that, or you can get to my blog. It's ultimatepatientexperience.com. So they're the two ways of finding me in terms of that information. My speaking, I've wound up my speaking for the year. I am booked. I'm just booking to speak in Copenhagen at the Danish Dental Association early next year, which is quite exciting for me. So that's nice. I've got I've got Paul Homily as my warm up act, which is really
wow.
nice. So I don't know whether he knows that, but I'll be chatting with him because I don't want to be covering the same material. Anyway, through those, they can email me, David at theupe.com. That's theupe.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me if they've got any questions. As a special offer to your listeners, Naveen, if they're interested, I'm happy to talk to them about their practice and offer them a free 1 hour complimentary strategy session where they can chat with me like this and talk about what they're doing and how they need to improve their practice. And all they need to do is go to www.ultimatedentalreport.com. They can download my 36-page report there and get the report. And if they go to upeapp.com, that's upeapp.com, they can apply for the strategy session there. I think there's about 10 questions they need to fill in about how their practice is doing. And in fact, I've got a call next week with a dentist in Texas about that. The thing I offer for people who want to hire me as a coach is they get me. I don't have a team of people, so they don't get passed off to some flunky. I've worked with consultants like that where I end up talking to some kid half my age and he's never picked up a drill. In fact, he's only ever had his teeth cleaned and he doesn't really know what goes through a dentist's head. He's learned things. So I offer coaching. If when they read the book, if they like the book, they can get that. That's me. And if they just Google me, they'll find plenty of information about me. But those are the main ways. My website, my blog, and getting that Ultimate Dental Report. So thank you for the opportunity of sharing that with your viewers and followers, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, David, thank you so much for being on the interview today. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on, and I wish you continued success in helping out a lot of dentists out there. And I'm sure I'll be seeing you on a stage close nearby here in sometime in the future.
Yeah, well, I've got one of my good friends who's not a dentist, lives in Danville, and I've got an accountant who's keen to have me come to California, as well as an orthodontist in Northern California as well.
Oh, nice.
For me to come over. So anything's possible. It's just flying across the Pacific at 14 hours stuck in a plane. That's each way. That's the difficulty. But
that's enough time to read a book right there.
Well, that's it. That's true. Yeah, the only movie I ever watch is that map and watch the plane flying. And a lot of the time I'm just reading books and trying to lap up the service because I like to fly comfortably, because otherwise it can take you 2 or 3 days to get over flying if you're stuck in a bad seat and with people squashed up against you down the back. So I at least like to fly comfortably. But that's all about being a student of good service as well.
Sure, yeah. Well, thank you so much again, and have a good day. And I guess it'll be a good night for me here.
Yeah, good night for you. And I'm off to. I've got another couple of people to talk to, and then this afternoon I'm going to go and hit some golf balls. So
nice.
Hopefully the shoulder will hold up to that. So thanks, Naveen. Been a pleasure talking with you, and nice chatting with you for the last hour. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. And for all the listening audience here, we'll see you at the next podcast.